So I've been kind of going in and out of Overwatch competitive for a while, and it's kind of weird because I really love playing Overwatch. I think it's an extremely fun game when it's set up correctly, when you have a good team comp, when the enemy have a good team comp or even a bad team comp, because then you can just roll right over them, let's be honest, and when you are in general in a pretty good situation where you can kind of show off your skills, where your character is not completely countered by the enemy team. You know, when that all comes to pass, I do have a lot of fun in Overwatch. But a lot of the time lately, I've been having troubles continuing to play competitive, and a lot of times I need to take a week or two long hiatus from the game just so I can play other games, get rid of some of that salt, and then come back to Overwatch later, as it is still currently my favorite actual competitive game. With that said though, I've been thinking about ideas that could maybe kind of help fix the toxicity that I really hope will be implemented sometime soon. Mainly in this video, I'm going to be talking about some of the big problems, 5 big problems that I'm seeing, and how the Overwatch team can kind of fix those to make so that the game would be in a slightly better state. Now, I'm not sure if they actually will, because the Overwatch team just seems like they don't want to change anything about competitive. I mean, they're willing to add skins, add emotes, add characters, but not change competitive. I don't know. Maybe I'm hoping too much, but anyways, I'm going to be talking about some of the problems, and again, how you can kind of fix those. So, off to the first problem with me, and I think this is the most obvious problem that really just kind of grinds my gears. That's the fact that team comps just oftentimes suck in Overwatch, and if you get a bad team comp, I think this is one of the reasons the game is so toxic when you're playing competitive. If you get a bad team comp, everyone on your team is inherently going to tilt before the game, and sometimes you can win that game, but no matter what, it's almost always going to be a toxic, unfun experience. And there have just been no real big changes to help with team comps. It's always been random people at the same rank put together, hope that you have a few flex players, and oftentimes you do, and oftentimes you don't. And I think the one thing I want to mention here is that, yes, this has been a problem, and yes, the team has been ignoring it, but I think that since the game's been out for about 2 years already, we should be able to say that there are some options that we can fix the game with right now. Let's say even just putting a role queue, which I don't really support way too much, but let's just use that as an example. Let's say that you have to queue for, you know, support, DPS, and tank. Well, let's look at previous metas. Every single meta has always had 2 supports. Every single meta has always had 1 DPS, and every single meta has always had 1 tank, no matter what. So I know there's always the idea and the excuse that, hey, well, you know, the meta could be anything in Overwatch. You're always supposed to be changing characters. But in reality, that's not always the case, and that's not often the case. I mean, there's pretty much these 4 stable pillars that never change. And then there's always, you know, 2 flex picks, which are either DPS or tank, depending on the meta, really. But I think the game really should try to incorporate that into the matchmaking, either inherently, where it always tries to get every single match with at least maybe 1 support, 1 DPS, and 1 tank player, maybe, or, you know, a role queue, or a guild queue, or a role select, or whatever. There's so many options for this, but I really feel like since the game's been out for so long, and since we've been able to see, yeah, the meta has never been 5 support players or 5 tank players. Yeah, I think we have a pretty general idea of the game right now, and since we have a good idea, since the game has been out for a while, I think it's as good a time as any to maybe put something in. League of Legends, for example, didn't really have a role queue system for a long time. You just called your roles, but after they kind of figured out the meta, what was going where, after a few years, then they could add it, and I think currently we're kind of in the state where that could help with a lot of the toxicity, because it could make every single game at least okay as far as your team comp, stopping the tilt from the very beginning. Now, another thing I want to talk about for toxicity's sake is the fact that the report queues, the report system, I think, is still too weak and too vague, and I think that this makes a problem where nobody is afraid of the system, and nobody is afraid to say really mean, rude things. Nobody's afraid to troll in a single game or in a few games. The system oftentimes just won't really punish you, and some nights, you know, maybe I'd see like 7 different guys in a row that are just being complete scumbags or just trolling that match, and, you know, I report all of them. The next day, maybe I'll see one that got a suspension or something. And honestly, a lot of the times, even if you do see that suspension, you don't know who got suspended, you don't know why they got suspended, or for how long. And in a lot of cases, it feels like the report and the ban system doesn't even matter, because you don't know what it does, you don't know what it is. And I really wish that maybe they could be a little more open with this system, kind of as a fear tactic, I guess, to scare people from doing stuff that creates a toxic environment, but as well just so that I guess we kind of know what we're allowed to do and what we aren't allowed to do. I think this is kind of a similar problem to what YouTube is doing, where they just kind of don't tell you exactly what they're going to be doing, and they just kind of punish you sometimes and they don't other times. I really wish that the system for the report system would be up to notch. I know that it is better than it was before, but I think it could even get better now, especially since there's less players playing the game. I think they could be a little bit more on the ball with that. Again, I'm glad that they're improving it, but I think that is one of the main ways to make the game quite a bit less toxic, at least in competitive. I guess in quick play, you don't have to care as much. You can just mute everyone. But in competitive, well, you have to talk in voice comms, and you really need teammates that are actually trying. Yeah, I think that is a very important thing for that. And right here is one final thing I think that is, about the game itself that the team could kind of cover. And I guess this is mainly just talking about Diamond and above, but I guess it also kind of relates to Smurfs a little bit. And that's the fact that if you don't play the game for a week or so, and start to lose SR, or let's say that your computer just crashes or something and you lose some SR, it feels like now you can essentially never get that SR back. And one thing that I've been seeing a lot is people that, especially in lower diamond or middle diamond or whatever, I'm on my Smurf, is there's people that were like middle of masters in this current season, and now they're at the bottom of diamond, and they have insanely high win ratios. They have like 60-70% on all their characters, but since they stopped playing, well, they got automatically demoted. And I think the real problem here is that the system kind of gridlocks you and stuns you from getting back to the rank where you used to be. In the past, let's say that you were a Masters player, you stopped playing for like 3 weeks, and then you decided to come back. Well, your hidden rank would still be at about Masters. So if you won a lot of games, you'd get like, 100 SR per win or 50 SR per win instead of the regular 20 or 30 that you used to get. Now that's not really the case. They kind of fixed that, so now you get 20 back again, or 25, even if you dropped like 500 SR for not playing the game. I think that maybe not for every person this is a problem, especially in lower ranks. This never really happens at all. I don't think it can happen. But as far as higher ranks go, this does create a very toxic environment where you see people that are much better than their rank actually shows, that are matched with people that are much worse than the person that's playing in that game. And I think that the way that they've kind of gotten rid of the hidden MMR system while also keeping it, putting it all together, it doesn't really make any sense. And I really wish that they just kind of make so that you could get your SR back quickly again if you stop playing for a while, because that would get rid of a lot of the people that just drop really low, and that creates such a toxic environment for so many other players. And I guess the final thing I want to talk about right here is kind of a community problem, and that is that we still have so many one tricks in the game, and not just people that main characters. That's fine if you main a character and switch off of them, but there's so many people that are just willing to play one character, will never swap. And I think that's just one of the times where if you get like 3 one tricks in a row, you're just not gonna have a good game. Even if you win that, it's just not gonna be a great time. And I think the way that the community works is that they push a lot of people to one trick, because you will rank up faster, you will do better in a lot of games, you will improve the game faster. But I think at the time of the game right now, the way that the game has been out for so long, I think that we might have to start to think about the game a little differently, and maybe think about it less as I need to get my SR right now, and more as, hey, I'm playing this kind of older game, I just want to have fun, I just want to improve, maybe quick, maybe slowly, whatever, but mainly just have a lot of good games. And maybe with that mindset, we could kind of push more people flexing. Maybe not flexing all the time, but if there's really bad situations, going for that sometimes. I think that could be nice for the game, and maybe this wouldn't work in the past, but I think as the game kind of changes with age, I don't know. It's something that personally I've been thinking about a lot. I've been trying to flex a lot myself personally, and I think if more people decided to do that, it could be kind of nice for the game. That's really the only way for the community, I think, to fix the team builder problem, where there's just no team builder. But again, I guess if the Overwatch team actually implements a actual system into the game, like a guild system, well, who knows? We wouldn't have to put the community in this tight spot. We could still keep our one tricks, we could still keep our mains, we could still keep everything, and just the game would kind of sort us out. Either way, though, I think we do need something, and the way it is right now, we're just kind of getting nothing. But I guess what you can do to kind of fix it for yourself is to start to flex more, start to play other characters more. And yeah, it will take longer to rank up, I think, in the long run, but I think a lot of your games will be funner. So there's that from me, and that's all I really wanted to say today. Now, if you have your own personal opinions about this topic, please leave them down in the comment section down below. I really hope Overwatch can become a less and less toxic game. For myself personally, I've been seeing still a decent amount of toxicity, but probably less than I have seen in the past few months as the game started to slow down a little bit. But I do really want to hear you guys' opinions, and if you do have your own opinions, please leave them down there. Anyways, as always, guys, though, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a wonderful day.